Why is it that you feel like you're hustling, you're working harder, you're even more busier than ever before, and then you start to get a little bit of progress, like you start to move forward, you start to have some momentum, and you feel like everything is going really well for you, and then all of a sudden you get set back 5, 10 steps back. Like, why is it that that happens? And then the cycle starts to repeat itself. You start to hustle and you're working harder, and then again somehow you find yourself self-sabotaging, and then again you get put backwards, and then that cycle and that loop repeats itself again and again. Your mind is telling you that I want to get to this goal, I want to get there, I want to get there, and you want to go forward, but somehow you find yourself indulging in vices, overeating, over drinking, you're doom scrolling, you're sleeping late, and all these other destructive behaviors that slows down your growth and it throws you off track. And you're trying so hard, but somehow you find a way to kind of self sabotage in the end. Why does this happen? This cycle again and again. And the reason why, well, first, before we go there, we need to really establish that everything is ultimately in your power. Everything is in your control. And it's always an internal thing. Okay? You're self sabotaging yourself, which is an internal action that you're initiating. That is you doing that to set you backwards. You might be doing a lot of progress, and then something that's out of your control, right? Something that's external, like natural disaster, somebody gets sick in the family, or anything else that you're just not expecting. And how you respond to that, okay, how you react from that point is again an internal decision. You can choose to let whatever happened happen naturally and still move forward, or you can see what happened and maybe view it as a sign to throw in the towel, or you just get so emotional and you just don't know how to handle it, you break down, and then that negative downward spiral starts again. So everything is always going to be internal. Now the question here is, why does this cycle happen? Why are you always on this loop, which when it comes to the self-sabotaging, it's just restarting the entire cycle again? What I'm about to tell you right now, it's probably something that you've never heard about, but what if I told you that self-sabotaging is not a negative thing? What if I told you that when you self-sabotage, it's neither a negative nor a positive thing? It's merely just your body, your subconscious mind, and your inner beliefs just following the codes, right? It's when you self-sabotage, it's not you indulging in something that is trying to self-sabotage, trying to destroy your plans of going forward. But what it is you're just following codes. You're following a program that is bringing you back to your comfort zone. It's bringing you back to this state of normality, right? You want to go up. You want to double your income. You want to triple, quadruple your income. You want to get a bunch of girls. You want to get into a relationship. You want to lose that weight and get in the best shape of your life. You have all these aspirations, all these big goals for you to go upwards and go forward with your life, but you always find a way to come back to your comfort zone, this zone and realm that you've been used to. And when you self sabotage, it's basically just your inner codes, your inner programs, and your deepest beliefs about whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, and your beliefs about how you view yourself, what you believe about yourself, and what you feel that you're worthy of. That's just going to bring you back to that comfort zone. So I want you to think about this real quick. Take this analogy. Let's just say that imagine that there was a bunch of ducks, right? A bunch of baby ducks, and they're walking in a row, and they're all going forward. And then behind them, at the very back, is the parent duck, the mama duck or father duck, right? Let's just say for the sake of the trying to make a point, let's just say that this parent duck had really long arms, right? All the ducks are walking forward in a straight line. Anytime a duck goes outside of that single file line, the parent duck in the back is just going to use its long arms to just bring them back to the middle, bring them back in, bring them back in. And then with enough repetition, right, over time, as they get used to that conditioning, the parental conditioning, they're just going to just continue to just walk in that straight line path. And then eventually the parent does not need to bring them back to the center, right? So the baby ducks are just conditioned to just walk straight, walk forward, walk forward, walk forward. Anytime that the baby duck, might, see something that's interesting, right? It's like, oh, there's a nice pond over there. Oh, there's a nice tree, or that looks like really interesting. The baby duck gets kind of, temptation and excitement and wants to go off the trail and go towards it. But then as soon as it goes a little bit off track, it starts to realize, oh, whoa, okay, this is not what I'm used to. This is not what I'm, familiar with. This is outside of my comfort zone. It's potentially dangerous, you know, subconsciously, without really, really thinking too hard. The baby duck is naturally going to just come back to that line. It's just going to come back to the straight line path and continue that comfort zone, right? So as what is happening here? Okay, we're going to go to this picture. What's happening in this scenario? The baby duck is not not letting its curiosity, fuel them to the point of going out to explore what's truly out there. The baby duck is not really motivated enough to actually get way outside of the comfort zone, go and discover new things, learn new experiences, go and try and fail at whatever is, looking visually attractive in life. And instead, it decides to stay where it's been safe all along. This is very, very critical to understand, is that what is the purpose of the parent duck in the back? What's the whole purpose? It's not trying to, like, it's not directly thinking about really trying to crush that duck's dream. It's not trying to, stop them from um, anything except wanting them to be safe. Okay? Wanting them to just be safe, because there's risk. There's all these things going around. The parent duck's got so many things to manage. How about we just keep everyone together so that it's easier to manage? That's probably the extent of what it's thinking about. But all you have to understand when it comes to self sabotaging is that this is your body's response, natural response to following the codes. Okay? Your nervous system, your mind and your body is just going to follow the programming that you've been taught, which is to always revert back to what is safe, what is comfortable, what you're used to, because the brain is always going to try to predict outcomes for you in a way where it wants you to be safe. Okay, away from danger, away from threats, away from anything that could be a, a big risk. Okay, so that's the first thing that we have to understand. When you self sabotage, there's a deeper um, issue here. Okay, but first you have to understand that self sabotaging is not negative and it's not positive. It's nothing. It's not. It's neutral. All it is you following the codes. Okay. The reason why you self sabotage is because you're experiencing imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome, imposter, fake, syndrome, condition. You have a condition of being fake. You feel fake. And what I mean by fake is that what is real? Real is your comfort zone. It's the things that you know. This is the world that you're used to. Anything outside of that, what you're not used to, is going to feel strange. So imposter syndrome is the idea that you're not in congruency with who you believe that you are. Okay? So we're going a layer deeper. The top layer here is that you're self sabotaging, which is bringing you back to what you're used to. Okay. And the reason why you do it is because you might have a goal. Let's say that for all your life, for let's say 5 years, 5 years straight, you've been making the same amount of cash. You've been making 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K maybe. This is how much money that you've been making for the last 5 years. Okay. This is your ceiling. This is your comfort zone. Okay. And let's say that your goal is you want to make 30K a month, right? You want to make way more than you usually make, and you want to hit 30K. Okay. When you start to make progress and you start to see more money coming in, right? You start to get past that 5K range. You start to elevate a little bit more, right? You're getting out of your comfort zone. Maybe that money is going to make you want to, you know, spend more or do more or whatever it is. Um, After some time, because a lot of that money, a lot of that progress that you're making, even though it's being made on the outside, right, externally, it's the external visual. You're seeing all of this success, but inside, you're still you still believe that you're a 5K guy, right? You might be invited to meet new people. You might end up going different places with these new people. Maybe some kind of network try to bring you up, or you start to get outside of your comfort zone. And when that happens externally, but internally, you don't you feel like you don't fit in. This is where that imposter syndrome comes in, because you're you're doing things that's outside of what you've been known to do, and because you don't view yourself as up here, but you view yourself down here, right? What you've been used to. This is where the imposter syndrome happens, And that's why you self-sabotage, to bring you back 5 steps back, 10 steps back. It just brings you back, just like the ducks going outside of the normal. Bring them back to safety. Over time, you've been conditioning yourself to go back yourself, right? Nothing is forcing you back. You are voluntarily, subconsciously bringing yourself back to that safe zone. So with imposter syndrome, the reason why that happens is because, like I mentioned, the lack of congruency. There is a misalignment between your codes, your deep inner beliefs, and the progress that you're making externally. Okay? These two things don't match. Okay? The outside tangible results in the 3D dimension that you want to experience and you want to have in your brain, but deep down your code of what you've been conditioned, what you believe to be true. This is the talk that's going in the back of your mind. That's why the subconscious is always going to be the most powerful. Your subconscious, not your conscious awareness, but your subconscious, right? There's a misalignment between your codes that you've been programmed and the external signal that you're trying to go towards. Now now we've got that misalignment. Why is there a misalignment? Now, at the very, very root of all of this, okay, we went from self-sabotaging down to imposter syndrome. Okay, self-sabotaging, you're bringing yourself back down. You do that because you have a um, imposter syndrome, which is you don't feel this is real. And then underneath that, imposter syndrome is because there's a misalignment with your inner belief system and your external desires. Below that, at the very root of the misalignment, is ultimately just a lack of worthiness. Okay, this is at the very, very root of your codes, is there's simply just a lack of worthiness, right? This is the root cause of the issue. When we go all the way back to this duck example, the duck, the baby duck that just keeps on getting dragged back in to that line, and it doesn't become curious enough to go and explore. It doesn't go outside of that comfort zone. It just stays right here in the safe zone. It does not believe that it's worthy enough. It does not believe that it deserves anything more than what it's just been used to. So, going back to where you are in your life and what's causing you to self sabotage in the end, at the very core of this issue is your lack of worthiness. Okay, let's say that you want to make that 30K per month and you've just been making 5K all this time. 5K, 5K, maybe 2K, anywhere, that's way less than what you actually want to make. So, the worthiness, the worthiness, before you can really get up to that next level, you have to feel like genuinely feel like you're worthy of attracting that much money. With a lot of people, especially when it comes to money, a lot of people they look at this as a taboo thing, right? Money is dirty. Money is something that we don't talk about. Money is evil, and all these other negative meanings that they assign to it, because people want to be humble. People want to, you know, whatever the case, they're just gonna label something like money as a bad thing. And because of that, they know that they want to make more money, but they have that lack of worthiness. You need to change your code at the core root level if you want to finally stop yourself from self sabotaging, stop yourself from slowing yourself down, and stop yourself from playing small. It's not enough to have the goal and you want it, and you make advances towards it, make these steps towards it, but you're playing small. You're playing small. You're not playing to win. You're playing to not lose and not go all the way because you want to just remain humble, right? You want to do what 5K per month people, 2K per month people do, and it's just stay low, stay humble, don't try to stand out, don't demand what they want with enthusiasm and confidence. Like, don't go out there and crush it. You got to change your codes from the root level, and it starts with worthiness. Okay. um you need to go back. Okay, whatever it is, if it's money, change the way that you view about money. If it's you wanting to get a really hot chick, right? You want to get a really hot chick, you want to get multiple hot girls, you want to just get a rotation, you want to get a lot of girls, you want to get into a relationship, in a serious relationship with somebody who's very attractive. Before you can do all these surface level things, go to the gym, work on your physique, fix your posture, work on your eye contact, try to talk more confidently, doing all this external surface level stuff before you can do all that. Because you can look like Brad Pitt or whatever, Cristiano Ronaldo. You can look like all these guys. But if you don't feel worthy of attracting a 10 out of 10 baddie, if you don't feel like you deserve to have that beautiful girl and attract her, you're always going to find a way to fuck it up in the end. You might really want to get into the best shape of your life, right? You're just tired of being fat. You're tired of looking like a loser. And you want to lose the weight. You want to get the muscles. You want to get in shape. You want all these things for you. But then you self sabotage again with overeating and the cheat meals, and you're cheating yourself again and again and again. You might build a little bit of muscle, but you're not like chiseled. You're not getting the definitions. You're just playing small again. You're half-assing it, and you're not absolutely going out there to actually win. Like win and crush it, knock it out of the park. It's done. Like you're the man. If you don't change your worthiness about whatever it is that you truly want to have, and tell yourself that you are worthy of having that, then you're never going to have it. So, whatever it is that you want, you need to be able to revert. Revert. Okay? I said this on a story post that I made a couple of days ago, is that the people who are absolutely going to dominate in the future, okay, the near future, people who are going to have the most happiness, the most success, the most money, the most freedom, the most power, all of that. The people who are going to have all of that are the people who know how to revert. Revert. It means going back to your original. Way before you had any influence, before you had any kinds of programming or conditioning, anything that externally influenced you and kept you in your path, you need to go back as far back as you can to where these beliefs came from, where these limiting beliefs of feeling unworthy, of feeling like you don't deserve it, of having all of these views and feeling guilty, feeling shame, and all of these things that's blocking your blessings and keeping you down at a low vibration. Go back to that time and change the story. Rewrite the code. Now we're going to go back to that example again. Let's say that you were that baby duck, right? The baby duck that's always been pulled back to the center. Walk on this path. Don't go outside. Don't go outside here. Let's say you were that duck. You went back and you thought, okay, I see now. I see now. This is not negative. This is not positive. This is neutral. My parent, my mom or my dad, who kept me in line, they did this because this was safe. Okay, back then, this was all about safety. Okay, you're rewriting the code, and then you tell yourself, okay, this was a good code back then. It's not needed now. You're telling yourself this. You're re-parenting your inner child and you're rewriting your codes. You're telling yourself this code was appropriate for that time because I didn't know any better and probably neither did my mom or my dad. All they wanted to do was just keep me safe, and that's all I needed at that time. Now it's time for me to not need this code. I'm going to discard it now because moving forward, I need to step out of my comfort zone. I need to step out of my usual safety zone so that I can learn, so that I can fail, so that I can progress and get these experiences and start to grow. Because that's what I really want. I don't want to stay here no more. It's time for me to get out. Okay? So that's what you need to do. You need to be able to revert by going all the way back as early as you can and uncover the mental blocks one problem at a time. Whether it is you wanting to make more money, whether it is you wanting to get a better physique, whether it is you wanting to improve your dating and mating life for relationships or whatever the problem is that you're dealing with, you need to go all the way down to the root cause of it and then tell yourself you are worthy of that which you desire, of that which you seek. You're worthy of it. You're worthy of attracting it. You're worthy of obtaining it into your life. You are deserving of that. Go as far back as you can. And once you start to align yourself with what belongs to you, align yourself, truly align yourself. It's not just about wanting it, it's about aligning yourself so deep that you do feel like you deserve it. You do feel that you are worthy of obtaining it and experiencing it in your 3D, three dimensional reality. Once you find that alignment, everything is going to start to come much more effortlessly to you. You don't feel like you're fighting against yourself. You don't have this feeling of imposter syndrome. You don't feel like you're having internal conflicts. You don't feel conflicted about getting more money because you know you deserve it. You don't feel conflicted about getting as many girls as you want in your rotation. You don't feel conflicted about when you see yourself in the mirror and you see the progress, you see the weight coming off your body, and you look in your eyes and you look at yourself with being proud because this is what you deserve. When you change your inner codes, and everything is aligned, everything is going to shift for you. This is how you properly transfer your reality, by raising your vibrations from the root cause. From the root cause, once you shift that, this is how you transfer reality like nobody else.